Hello, SYNGAP land. My name is Michael Grally. This is episode 142 of SYNGAP 10, your 10-minute-ish, weekly-ish, whatever you need to know about SYNGAP 1. Today is Friday, May 31st, and my last episode was about 10 days away. I'm getting a little bit better about these regularity thing. It's been nuts. I've been a little under the weather, but there's just been a tremendous amount going on. The most recent meeting I had actually was the most exciting thing I want to tell you about. As I mentioned in our last episode, the board was heading into a meeting where we were going to approve grants. Thank you to our donors for every dollar you've given us. This allows us to give these grants. One of the most exciting grants we gave was to Colorado Children's Hospital to become the second site in the SYNGAP 1 Natural History Study. So we are expanding what is going on at CHOP to happen in Colorado. In Colorado, we have Dr. Helbig leading the charge, and then Dr. Jillian McKee as the point person on all things SYNGAP. In Colorado, it's similar. You have Dr. Demarest, who's an excellent doctor. He trained under Tim Benke, who's also amazing. And he's leading Megan Abbott, who is going to be the point person on SYNGAP 1. So Megan Abbott is amazing. She already takes care of some of our SYNGAPians. Jillian McKee, many of us, 66 to be precise, have had the pleasure of going there and being in that study. And so we are so blessed to have Dr. Abbott want to do this work and to have the funds to be able to support her and buy that time at Colorado. So that now, if you're one of those families who's like, God, I want to take part in CHOP, it's just too darn far. Guess what? You can just have to fly to Colorado now. And their game is tight, you guys. It's an exceptional center. I've been very jealous that we haven't been a part of it now for some time. So I'm thrilled to tell you that the natural history study for SYNGAPians starting in August will be available both at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and Colorado Children's Hospitals, two of the best children's hospitals and epilepsy centers in the great United States of America. So very exciting news. Thank you to our donors. Keep giving your time, your money, your blood to SRF. This is how we make things happen. Speaking of your time, your money, and your blood. It is Friday. Tomorrow is Saturday. Next Saturday, June 8th, the $1 Million Bike Ride will be happening at UPenn, speaking of CHOP. And the way that works is we have a team of families and our friends, some very good family friends have taken part in this, and they're raising money right now. And if we raise $30,000, 30, then UPenn actually matches that with another 30. So 30 plus 30 is 60, which is almost enough money to get someone to do something for a year in science. So our goal is to raise at least 30. You add at least 30 to 30 and you get at least 60, hopefully 65, 70. And then UPenn uses that money to give another grant out. 2 years ago, we gave money to Dr. Heller to expand her epigenetics work. Last year, we gave money to Dr. Carville at Northwestern to do more VUS and missense resolution. And this year, who knows what we're going to do? But I'm excited to raise that money. So support the team. If you haven't donated to SRF lately, links in the show notes, charity.pledgeit.org, letters, numbers. Just click on the link and give them money. If you're like, what is this MDBR thing? This sounds amazing. SYNGAP.fund/unite. Read the blog. It's awesome work. That's your money. That's where your money goes right now. Blood. If you were in Southern California on June 7th and 8th, one of our partners in Combined Brain is doing a conference. You know the drill. Combined Brain has an IRB-approved biorepository, which we are a part of. What this allows us to do is collect blood and plasma in advance so that when our industry or academic partners need plasma for their experiments or their tests or their medicines or whatever, we can just ship them a couple vials. It's very, very good. So if you're in San Diego, LA, anywhere in Southern California, consider going to San Diego. Who doesn't love San Diego? and giving your blood, you can do it on June 7th or June 8th. If you have questions, please email Kathryn, CSO, for Chief Scientific Officer, CSO at curesyngap1.org. And then give your time. So I covered your money, I covered your blood. What about your time? Last week was a great week for learning about volunteering with SRF. We had a tremendous webinar with the leadership team, syngap.fund/LT. You can go watch a recording. All 9 groups put up their org chart. The leaders spoke, and we talked about the roles and opportunities in there. Volunteering with SRF does not mean you have to go do the med sci team with Kathryn. You can do the comms team with Ed. You can do the volunteer support team with Corey, the family support team with Corey. You can do the conference with Stacy. You can do critical ops with Aaron. You can do finance with Stephanie. There's so many teams. There's so many teams, you guys, because all of this work you're seeing, all of the attention, the fundraising, the grant giving, the grants administration, all of the work you're doing, it happens. It's led by family members just like you. And we need more people because the SYNGAP is growing, SRF is growing, and we have to keep at it, guys, because we don't have precision therapies for our kids yet. So please volunteer with SRF. syngap.fund/LT. Read that, sign up. syngap.fund/community. syngap.fund/community is where you can read a blog that the team wrote. I was so touched by this blog. It's amazing. The team wrote this blog with 50 different families where they talked about why they work with SRF, because they wanted to answer this question. Well, what do you do? What do you do? Why do you do it? Well, here's the answer. 50 different answers to that question. And I want you to read that blog, and I want you to be like, why am I not on this? And then there's a link in the show notes, of course, curesingap1.org/volunteer with SRF, kind of a long link, where you can click and learn everything. The links are in the show notes. The first link in the show notes, by the way, is singap.fund/N142. N is for notes. Why did I do that? Because on some of these podcasting platforms, my show notes are getting longer and they're getting cut off. So now I'm going to put the first link in the show notes, a link to the Google Doc with the show notes. You can go and you can find all the links. I'm getting better at this. Let me talk more about why it's so important to volunteer and keep telling our story. And this is the work Ed does with marketing is great. I have a couple of industry updates for you. So I talked to one company, great meeting. They're doing some cool stuff. They have some exciting science. The whole meeting, all the usual Q's and A's. And at the end of it, they're like, we just have one question. I said, yeah. I said, well, do you really think families are going to, if we make this drug, do you really think families are going to sign up for this? I mean, right now, you guys are giving all your kids drugs in there orally, pretty much, unless they're tube fed, of course. But like, do you really think people are going to sign up for a trial where the medicine is delivered every 3 or 4 months intrathecally, which means a little anesthesia local and then a little needle in the back to get it into the CSF, and then it goes up the spinal column and gets into the brain. Why do they have to do that? Long story, but it's very expensive medicine to make. And if you stick it in the mouth, it goes through the liver. All you're doing is damaging the liver. A little bit gets to the brain. Not efficient. This is medicine for the brain, so we're going to stick it in the spine, get it straight up to the brain. And I looked at him and I pushed back a little bit. I was like, let me make sure I understand the question. But I did. And I said, guys, what you're telling me is that I have failed to explain to you how horrific this disease is. And shame on me for not explaining to you that nobody likes being woken up at 3:42 every morning for as long as they can remember. No one likes changing a 10-year-old or a 20-year-old's diaper. No one likes getting their butts kicked in public with no warning. No one likes seeing their children seize in spite of shoving fistfuls of drugs down their mouth. No one likes barely being able to keep track of the seizure meds, the behavior meds, the sleep meds, the GI meds, the other meds, and explaining to all the doctors how the different meds interact. Nobody, none of us enjoy that. And if you honestly think for a picosecond that any parent's going to be like, you know what, I'm happy with where I'm at. This is working for me. Please don't give me a precision therapy that will help my child's brain make more SYNGAP and ameliorate all these symptoms. No, I don't want that. I was like, if you really think that's going to happen, I need to talk to you some more because you don't get it. I was slightly more polite than that, but only slightly. And they laughed and they were like, can you come and talk to our investors? Because our investors are asking us this question. Are people really going to do an intrathecal injection of this drug? And it just, that's my point, you guys. Number one, be ready for this question, right? Listen to what I just said. And when you meet the investors and companies and whatever at our conference, be ready to say, oh my gosh, yes. One drug every 4 months to reduce the fistfuls of drugs I'm shoving in my child's mouth or my child's stomach if I'm G-tube fed. I'm like, do you realize half our kids have a hole in their stomach because they won't even swallow? Not half, but some percentage. So I really think we need to develop our talking points around this. This is more for Ed and the comms team, but we got to really get better at explaining to industry the severe burden of this disease. So that was one thing I want to share with you guys. Another thing I want to share with you guys, I talked to one company and I was like, when are we going to, I always ask this, every company. And they always avoid the question and say it's complicated. But I was talking to one company and I was like, when are we going to have, like assuming things go well, because they're a pretty optimistic meeting, when are we going to have drugs in kids? When are we going to have a trial? They said 2026 for a trial. 2026 sounds like a year and a half away. It's a long time from now. But in real life, it's actually a very positive answer. I'm surprised they were willing to say yes to that. And I think that is what we should be hoping and praying for. And that is why we need to double down and work twice as hard and raise twice as much money for the next year and a half. Because remember, the work we're funding right now is shifted from making better drugs to understanding disease better and being prepared for clinical trials, right? Think of it as the help is on the way. The planes need to land, but there's no runway, right? So we have to make sure we're building a runway right now. Are we clinical trial ready? Do we have places like Colorado and CHOP that understand our kids? Do we have enough publications like Will Trout that we just funded, was built on citizen data, sign up for Citizen, by the way, that explains the disease to the FDA? Have we developed enough biomarkers and endpoints, Tom Fraser grant, ORCA, to make sure that we can run a trial. What we are doing right now is making sure the runway is big enough and long enough that these medicines can land on and we can have successful clinical trials. That's a year and a half away, guys. I need more people. I need more work. We need to engage more industry and explain this to more people to make sure that everybody understands what we're doing and why. Okay? That's what's going on. I'm just telling it like it is. And the other thing on industry, Kathryn and I will be running around Bio next week. Very lucky we got invited to be a partner for Bio, which means we got a free ticket, which is great because the tickets are like incredibly expensive because it's really an industry meeting. So everybody who makes drugs will be at this meeting, and Kathryn and I will be running around being like, hey, tell us about your SYNGAP program. Oh, you don't have a SYNGAP program. Let me tell you about SYNGAP. I'm like a traveling salesman at this point. So anyway, calendar management. Let's keep going. In addition, once these drugs land, once we get the plane down the runway, guess what? We got to get them approved. And we got to have all kinds of payer issues and cost issues that'll come up. And for that, we as a community need to be in touch with our local Congress people and senators. So the Every Life Foundation, which is truly exceptional, has this thing called RAA Across America. And so RAA Across America, you sign up, you do an online training, and then they hook you up with Congress people or senators in your town, nearby you, in your state, and you get to go and meet them and tell them about SYNGAP and advocate for rare disease. That's important. It's important to do for all of rare disease. It's important for you to build a relationship with your legislator. And it's important for the SYNGAP Research Fund to have good families like yours connected with those legislators when we are needing something to change. So think about signing up right now for RAA Across America. It's in 66 days. Sign up now. Links in the show notes. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is our conference is in 188 days, roughly 6 months. In 6 months, our conference is going to happen. We've done a conference now for 5 or 6 years. I've lost track. But for the past 2 years, it's been in person. 2 years ago in Nashville, last year in somewhere else. New Orleans? Were we in? No, we were in Florida, Orlando. So 2 years ago in Nashville, last year in Orlando. Thank God, finally we're on the West Coast. This is in Los Angeles. Book your tickets now. LA in December is fabulous. The weather's great. We're going to have a 2-day meeting, a science meeting that families are welcome to sit in on, and a family meeting. It's amazing. We're going to have a dinner. We're going to have, Stacy Miller has done a tremendous job leading the prep work on this. She was just at the hotel. I think she's there today, actually. And we're going to sign a contract shortly so we can announce pre-registration, or registration. So pre-register now, links in the show notes, plan on the conference. If you're newly diagnosed and you're like, oh my gosh, it's too early, I'm not ready. Not true. Trust me on this one. Just come, sit in the back, soak it in, meet other families, realize you're not alone, meet the scientists, meet the researchers, understand there is hope. There is hope, guys. It is coming. It is real. There's a growing and fabulous group of very, very talented humans working to make medicines for our kids. And SRF is convening them and bringing them together with your help and support. So thank you so much for that. And then on that point, publication alert. The incredible Wilsey Lab, Dr. Helen Wilsey is on our SAB. She's at UCSF. She's a rock star. Has put out a publication about the GI issues with Syngapians and how actually SYNGAP might affect the enteric nerves based on their animal model work and maybe some implications for that on a therapeutic level. Great paper. Check it out. Cool pictures. Just be aware of this. You got to be aware of the Wilsey Lab. There's more good stuff coming from them. I share a link in the show notes. I want to end with the usual. If you're newly diagnosed, if this is the first you're hearing, please reach out to the SYNGAP Research Fund. There's a lot of resources for you, syngap.fund/resources. And then as usual, guys, social media matters. Likes and retweets and whatevers, it matters. Make sure you are following SRF on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Insta, whatever, everything. All the things. And make sure you like us. Make sure you retweet our content, especially YouTube. Everyone's got a Gmail. Go to our YouTube account, subscribe. Stay current with what we're talking about. Go to if you're on Twitter, go to our Twitter account. We just hit 10,000. Yay! I've been working on that for a while. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really where the action is too, guys. Twitter is where we talk to scientists. LinkedIn is where we talk to industry. If you're on LinkedIn, make sure you follow SRF. Make sure you connect with me. Let's make sure industry sees that our patient community is paying attention and is engaged. All the other things. Also, this podcast. We have this podcast, SYNGAP 10. We have Cafe SYNGAP Uno for the Spanish-speaking population. We have SYNGAP Stories, which is wonderful interviews of SYNGAP families. All those podcasts. Wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure you like and subscribe to those. And so the other families, when they type SYNGAP 1 into the Google, they find SRF because we are the leading, the only real patient advocacy group for SYNGAP 1 here in the United States of America. The community is here, engaged, collaborating, working together. Let's continue to support each other as we get to the time when whether we either find and repurpose small molecules or deliver precision therapeutics to improve the lives of our kids so their lives and our lives can be better and our families can enjoy every breath. Thanks so much. See you soon.